Welcome back to The Mirror Moves, where justice never sleeps and karma always delivers. Today, one HOA Karen picked a fight she could never win. When you choose a career on a bomb squad, you quickly learn that your vehicle isn't just transportation. It's your lifeline, your mobile sanctuary. My truck wasn't just a regular pickup. It was an integral part of my duty to protect the community. But apparently, nobody had told this to my neighborhood's self-proclaimed queen, Linda Crawford, head of the Pleasant Valley Homeowners Association. Linda prided herself on a neighborhood she controlled down to the inch. Lawns had to be perfectly trimmed, cars parked just so, and God forbid you left a trash bin visible after 8 a.m. Her sharp eyes missed nothing, except, ironically, common sense and basic decency. I moved to Pleasant Valley just 2 years ago, attracted by its reputation for safety and quiet, an ideal place to decompress after intense days defusing bombs, analyzing suspicious packages, and dealing with genuine life-or-death emergencies. To me, my home was more than just a residence. It was my sanctuary. Most neighbors understood and respected the demanding nature of my job. Sometimes I had to leave in a rush or return in the early hours, the truck unmistakably marked Police Department, Bomb Disposal Unit. But Linda, she saw only what she wanted to see, a large vehicle that, in her words, disturbed the aesthetic. The real conflict started one bright, early morning. I just returned from a difficult call, a suspicious package downtown that, thankfully, turned out harmless. Exhausted, I parked my truck in my driveway, ensuring it was well clear of the sidewalk. As I entered my home, Linda stood at her window across the street, coffee mug in hand, eyes narrowed. I waved politely, though the gesture went unreturned. I shrugged it off, unaware of the storm brewing beneath her perfectly composed facade. 2 hours later, a loud pounding woke me abruptly. Groggy, I opened my door to find Linda, clipboard in hand and lips pursed. "Good morning," I said, trying to smile politely despite my exhaustion. "Is there something I can help you with?" "You're violating neighborhood guidelines," she snapped without greeting. "Your truck is too large, and frankly, it makes our neighborhood look unsafe." I paused, processing her words slowly. "Linda, it's clearly marked as a police vehicle. I'm on a bomb squad. It's essential." She interrupted sharply. "Rules are rules. Either park it elsewhere or I'll have it towed." I stared, incredulous. "Linda, this is absurd. It's clearly marked as a police unit. It's a critical emergency vehicle." She looked unimpressed. "Then you should understand emergency rules better than anyone. You've been warned." I sighed heavily as she stormed away, heels clicking furiously on the sidewalk. Surely, I thought, common sense would prevail. But I underestimated Linda's pride and overestimated her rationality. The next day was unusually quiet. No calls, no alarms, just a rare, peaceful moment. Until around noon, my phone erupted with a frantic call from my dispatcher. "We've got an emergency. A suspicious device at the local middle school. Evacuation's underway. We need you there immediately." Adrenaline surged. Within seconds, I grabbed my gear and rushed outside. But my driveway was empty. My truck was gone. I froze, disbelief giving way to panic. I scanned the neighborhood desperately, and then saw her. Linda, standing smugly at the curb, arms folded, supervising a tow truck loading my clearly marked bomb squad vehicle onto a flatbed. "What are you doing?" I shouted, heart pounding. "Linda, we've got an emergency, a bomb threat at the school. People's lives are at stake." She smirked, clearly thinking it was an elaborate bluff. "You'll thank me later for keeping our streets safe and orderly." Panic rose, but training took over. I quickly phoned dispatch, arranging another emergency vehicle pickup. Precious minutes were lost as I waited, anxiety growing by the second. I made it to the school in time, heart racing, nerves taut as steel cables. Fortunately, the suspicious device turned out to be another false alarm, a student's misguided prank. But the realization of what could have happened, the lives that might have been lost due to Linda's reckless arrogance, left me shaken and angry. Returning home, I saw Linda speaking confidently with neighbors, loudly defending her decision. She looked almost triumphant until our eyes met, and my fury clearly registered. "I told you that truck was essential," I said quietly but firmly, struggling to contain my anger. She shrugged, unbothered. "Then you should have parked somewhere else. This neighborhood has rules for a reason." "Ich stehe her, die Zeit." "Linda, your rules nearly cost lives today." She faltered for a split second, uncertainty flashing briefly across her carefully composed face. "You're exaggerating." I could have lashed out right then, publicly humiliated her. But the bomb squad had taught me patience, strategy, and the importance of timing. I called an emergency HOA meeting for that evening, determined to settle things clearly, openly, and legally. Linda arrived early, smug, expecting to dominate the meeting as usual. But she wasn't prepared for what came next. As neighbors assembled, murmurs of confusion spread. I stepped forward calmly, speaking evenly, clearly, honestly. Today, a critical emergency response was nearly compromised because Linda decided her aesthetic rules were more important than community safety. My clearly marked police vehicle was towed illegally, delaying my response to a bomb threat at our local school. Audible gasps echoed through the room. Neighbors exchanged shocked, angry glances. Linda looked defensive, quickly trying to interrupt, but I calmly continued. "Rules exist to protect us, not endanger lives." Linda's choice wasn't just reckless. It was potentially lethal. My job is keeping people safe. And today, Linda interfered with that in a dangerous way. One by one, neighbors voiced their anger, shock, and support for me. Linda shrunk visibly, her confident posture collapsing beneath the weight of community judgment. "I didn't realize," she stammered weakly, suddenly aware she'd lost control of the narrative. "Yes, you did. Margaret, the soft-spoken retired teacher from 2 houses down, said firmly. You just didn't care. Appearances were more important to you than people." Linda tried to defend herself, but failed utterly, finally falling silent. In the days that followed, Linda faced widespread criticism and pressure. The HOA quickly removed her from leadership, instating more compassionate, sensible residents to manage our community. And while Linda was never charged, since I'd narrowly made it in time, her reputation never recovered. Neighbors began openly supporting each other, placing community well-being over appearances. Weeks later, Linda approached me quietly as I watered my garden. Her posture was different, humbled, softened by genuine regret. "I'm sorry," she whispered shakily. "I was wrong. My actions endangered our community." I met her eyes steadily. "Lives are more important than appearances. Linda, you finally realized that." She nodded quietly. "Yes, and I'll spend the rest of my time here trying to make amends." I smiled softly, accepting the sincerity in her words. That's a good place to start. The neighborhood transformed subtly but powerfully after that. People became more open, friendlier, more supportive, understanding that real strength lay in unity, not control. My truck stayed parked in my driveway, undisturbed, respected, understood. It became a reassuring symbol of protection and community trust. One quiet afternoon, Margaret knocked gently at my door, handing me fresh-baked cookies. She glanced toward the truck, smiling warmly. "Thank you," she said softly, "for always protecting us, even when we didn't deserve it." "You always deserve it," I replied, touched by her kindness. Community means caring, even when it's difficult. Margaret nodded thoughtfully, her eyes sparkling. "Well, this neighborhood finally learned that lesson. Thanks to you." As she walked away, I felt deep pride, not just in my job, but in the powerful bonds forged through trials, mistakes, forgiveness, and genuine compassion. Because in Pleasant Valley, we finally understood something crucial. True safety wasn't about rigid rules or manicured lawns. It was about neighbors who watched out for each other, about learning, forgiveness, and trust. Linda had learned her lesson painfully, but she was changing, growing, becoming part of a genuine community again. And my truck? It was more than just a vehicle. It was a promise that I would always protect my community, no matter the cost. And that promise, unlike any superficial neighborhood rule, was worth everything.